The iconic British supermodel faced a major scandal involving her charity, Fashion for Relief, but instead of disappearing, she fought back and made a stunning comeback. Can she truly overcome her past mistakes and reclaim her legacy? Naomi Campbell's career is as iconic as her runway walks. From the moment she entered the fashion scene, she set the bar high, becoming one of the most famous supermodels in the world. But her success didn't come easily. Her story is full of groundbreaking moments, the kind that helped reshape the fashion industry for good. Born in 1970 in London, Naomi was the daughter of a Black Jamaican and Chinese Jamaican mother and a father of unknown heritage, and her rise to fame is a testament to both her undeniable beauty and her ability to break through racial barriers. At the time she started modeling, the fashion world was almost entirely white. But Naomi wasn't just another pretty face. She was fierce, powerful, and determined to make a mark in an industry that wasn't always welcoming to models of color. She was one of the first Black women to grace the covers of major fashion magazines and walk for top designers, setting a new standard for diversity in the world of high fashion. Naomi's career truly took off in the late 80s and early 90s when she became one of the original supermodels, alongside other legends like Cindy Crawford, Christy Turlington, and Linda Evangelista. It was during this time that she became known for her signature walk, which was a mesmerizing combination of elegance and power. Her runway presence was unparalleled, and designers, photographers, and stylists quickly realized they couldn't get enough of her. From runway shows to editorial spreads, Naomi was everywhere, gracing the covers of Vogue, Elle, and Harper's Bazaar, and becoming a go-to model for fashion's biggest names, including Gianni Versace, Yves Saint Laurent, and Jean-Paul Gaultier. However, Naomi's path wasn't without controversy. She became just as famous for her temper as for her work ethic. Her fiery personality occasionally clashed with those in the fashion industry, and over the years, Naomi became entangled in a series of scandals that made her as notorious as she was celebrated. In the mid-90s, she was publicly involved in a series of altercations, most notably with her former assistant and later with the police. These incidents, which were highly publicized, painted a picture of Naomi as a difficult figure to work with, but her talent and ability to captivate the industry meant that the controversies often took a backseat to her work. One of the most widely known scandals occurred in 2006 when Naomi was accused of assaulting her assistant. This event brought to light the struggles Naomi faced in balancing her career and personal life. Although she eventually faced legal consequences, the incident didn't detract from her position as a powerful figure in the modeling industry. The public's fascination with her fiery persona and her ongoing work in fashion only seemed to add to her mystique.
The collection will comprise of pieces taken from different points in your career. So what's the story that's being told, and what's the significance?
But Naomi Campbell wasn't just about fashion. She also established herself as a philanthropist, using her platform to give back to those in need. Enter Fashion for Relief, her charity which aimed to provide financial assistance to those suffering from poverty. Over the years, Naomi dedicated her time and effort to raise funds and awareness for various causes through high-profile fashion events, turning her brand into something more than just the glamorous world of modeling. However, despite her genuine intentions, things didn't stay as pristine as her modeling career.
Caught spending funds from her own charity on luxury hotels and spa treatments. Fashion for Relief is a poverty aid charity she founded. The UK charity watchdog found
the Fashion for Relief charity, which Campbell had been involved with for several years, found itself embroiled in a major controversy. The UK Charity Commission began investigating the organization, revealing some shocking truths about how the funds were being spent. It turns out a significant portion of the money raised was being used for luxury hotels, spa treatments, and even Naomi's personal security, not exactly what the donations were intended for. Even more troubling were the unauthorized payments, up to £290,000, roughly $350,000, that had been funneled into the pockets of individuals associated with the charity, including some of its trustees. As you can imagine, this raised a lot of eyebrows, especially considering Naomi had publicly positioned herself as the face of a charity meant to help the less fortunate.
investigating to find out what and how, as everything she does and every penny she ever raised goes towards charities, quote unquote.
As the investigation unfolded, it was clear that the Fashion for Relief scandal wasn't just about mismanagement, it had become a full-blown crisis. Naomi Campbell, who had spent decades building a reputation as both a supermodel and philanthropist, now found herself at the center of a media storm. The Charity Commission didn't mince words, and Naomi was officially banned from holding a trustee position in any UK charity for 5 years. The verdict was a hard blow, especially when you consider how dedicated she seemed to her charity work. Naomi, however, was quick to defend herself. She stated that she wasn't involved in the day-to-day operations of the charity and claimed that she was unaware of the financial mismanagement. In her defense, she insisted that she had never personally profited from her charity work, and all her travels for the charity were either paid out of her own pocket or by close friends.
Disaster reliefs around the world, where did that come from, that passion for giving back?
No matter how much you are blessed,
Naomi Campbell's Fashion for Relief charity was meant to be a beacon of hope for those in need. Created with the noble mission of raising money for poverty relief, the charity was deeply rooted in Naomi's passion for philanthropy. Through high-profile events in fashion capitals like London and New York, she brought together big names from the world of entertainment and fashion to raise funds for various causes. The idea was simple: use the star power of Naomi Campbell and her network to make a real difference. The events were glamorous, yes, but they also had a serious underlying purpose: to bring attention and resources to those in need.
Supermodel Naomi Campbell is in hot water. She is accused of financial misconduct involving an anti-poverty charity that she founded. A watchdog investigation.
Unfortunately, what started as a promising initiative soon spiraled into a scandal. As the years went by, Fashion for Relief began to veer away from its charitable roots, with some alarming details coming to light. The UK Charity Commission's investigation into the charity's activities revealed that funds meant to help the less fortunate were being misused in unexpected and troubling ways. Instead of going to the causes they were meant to support, large amounts of money were being spent on things like luxury hotels, spa treatments, and personal security for Naomi Campbell. It was also uncovered that unauthorized payments had been made to some of the charity's trustees, including a shocking £290,000, around $350,000, in misallocated funds. The money that could have made a difference in the lives of many people was instead being used for what appeared to be lavish comforts and personal expenses.
Fashion shows and events, but only paid £389,000 in grants to partner charities. In 2019, the charity's income was £1.7 million, and
this revelation struck a devastating blow to Fashion for Relief's reputation, but the scandal didn't stop there. As the investigation progressed, it became clear that Naomi Campbell's role in the charity, despite being the public face, had not included day-to-day oversight of how the funds were managed. The question that arose was whether she should have been more involved or whether she trusted the wrong people to handle such an important task. The mismanagement of funds was so severe that Naomi and other trustees were banned from holding charity trustee positions in the UK for several years. Naomi's name, once synonymous with high fashion and charity work, was now tangled in scandal, leaving her to explain herself to the public and attempt to salvage her image.
from all different walks of life. I have a friend of mine who's a housewife of 30 years with 2 kids. That's like a real soundboard to me. She's very practical and things.
Naomi's defense was rooted in her long-standing commitment to charity work. She pointed out that for nearly 30 years, she had been dedicated to giving back to those in need, and that her involvement in Fashion for Relief was no different. Her philanthropic efforts had always been driven by a genuine desire to help, not by personal gain. To further back her claim, Naomi explained that whenever she traveled for charity events, she paid for her own expenses or relied on close friends to cover the costs. She even went as far as to clarify that the luxury hotel charges cited in the investigation were not paid by the charity, but were instead covered by third parties. Despite these explanations, the damage had already been done. The fact that a substantial portion of the charity's funds had been spent on personal luxuries rather than going toward poverty relief raised serious questions about Naomi's role in overseeing the charity's operations, But Naomi remained firm in her stance.
The Charity Commission said it found multiple instances of misconduct and mismanagement, and that only 8.5% of the charity's overall expenditure.
After the scandal surrounding Fashion for Relief reached its peak, it became clear that the charity, as it had once existed, was no longer sustainable. The mismanagement of funds and the misuse of donations had left a black mark on the organization. The UK Charity Commission, which had been investigating the situation, concluded that the charity could no longer continue operating as it had before. As a result, Fashion for Relief was officially dissolved, marking the end of Naomi Campbell's once promising philanthropic venture. This decision was not made lightly, and the closure of the charity was a direct consequence of the financial mishandling that had taken place under its management. While Naomi Campbell's reputation took a significant blow from the Fashion for Relief scandal, her co-trustees faced even harsher consequences. The UK Charity Commission handed down severe penalties to those involved in the mismanagement. One trustee, Bianca Helmich, was handed an incredible 99-year ban from holding any charity trustee position in the UK, essentially making it impossible for her to be involved in charitable work again. Another trustee, Veronica Chow, received a 4-year ban, a somewhat lesser but still significant penalty. These bans reflected the seriousness of the scandal and the role that the trustees played in the charity's downfall. Naomi, on the other hand, was banned from being a trustee for 5 years. While this was a significant punishment, it was clear that the penalty for her co-trustees was far more severe, especially considering Naomi's position as the charity's public face. Naomi has always maintained that she wasn't involved in the charity's day-to-day operations, and the Charity Commission's rulings seem to reflect this. Nevertheless, the penalties for her co-trustees showed just how seriously the Charity Commission viewed the extent of the financial mismanagement and the need for accountability in the nonprofit sector. Fashion for Relief's closure and the penalties for Naomi's co-trustees marked a major chapter in Naomi Campbell's career. The supermodel and philanthropist had to face the reality of how far-reaching the consequences of the charity's failure were. While Naomi's commitment to charitable work remained unwavering, the scandal served as a painful reminder of the importance of transparency and oversight in managing charitable organizations. After the scandal that surrounded her charity, Naomi Campbell found herself facing a tough uphill battle. The public's perception of her had been severely damaged, and the fashion world, where she had once reigned supreme, began to question her commitment to the causes she had long championed. But Naomi wasn't about to let this setback define her. Like any resilient figure, she turned her focus to rebuilding her career and reputation, refusing to let one scandal overshadow decades of success. As she re-entered the fashion scene, Naomi also worked to ensure her place in pop culture was reaffirmed. From attending high-profile events to collaborating with well-known brands, she made a point of proving she was far from finished. Naomi wasn't just a model, she was a force to be reckoned with in the industry. By engaging with her audience in new ways, she reminded everyone of her incredible influence and versatility. Through interviews, social media, and collaborations, Naomi was able to weave herself back into the fabric of pop culture, reminding the world why she was a legend in the first place. But Naomi's comeback wasn't just about getting back into the limelight. She recognized that her reputation, especially regarding her philanthropic efforts, needed serious attention. After the scandal with Fashion for Relief, Naomi understood that she had to go above and beyond to regain trust. One of the most important steps she took was to double down on her charity work, making sure that her efforts were transparent and accountable. Naomi's commitment to social causes remained unwavering, and she sought new ways to channel her influence into projects that truly made a difference. One of the key challenges Naomi faced was rebuilding trust with the public. While some may have been quick to criticize her after the charity scandal, Naomi knew that the only way forward was through transparency and consistent effort. She publicly apologized for the mistakes made with Fashion for Relief, making it clear that she took full responsibility for the situation. But she didn't stop there. Naomi also promised to learn from the mistakes and ensure that any future philanthropic ventures would be properly managed and accountable. By being open about the missteps and showing her determination to correct them, Naomi began to rebuild the trust that had been broken. Naomi Campbell's journey from supermodel to activist and philanthropist is nothing short of extraordinary. She started as a trailblazer in the fashion industry, one of the first Black supermodels to truly dominate the catwalks in the 80s and 90s. Naomi was the epitome of grace and power on the runway, and her fame grew as she worked with the world's top designers, graced the covers of countless magazines, and became the face of high-end fashion. But Naomi's story didn't stop at modeling. She made the transition from being just a model to becoming a strong voice in activism, using her platform to speak up for causes like racial equality, education, and poverty alleviation. Through her charity, Fashion for Relief, Naomi sought to use her influence to make a difference. While her modeling career allowed her to shine in the fashion world, it was her philanthropic efforts that allowed her to make a deeper impact on society. Naomi's transformation from supermodel to a woman who champions social causes marked a significant evolution in her career. She became more than just a face in the fashion world. She became a symbol of strength, resilience, and the power of using your platform for good. However, Naomi's journey hasn't been without its setbacks. The scandal involving Fashion for Relief created a huge storm, one that shook the foundation of Naomi's philanthropic work. The mismanagement of funds and misuse of donations were a stark contrast to the charity's mission, and the public was quick to judge. Naomi, once revered as a philanthropist who used her fame for the greater good, now found herself under intense scrutiny. The scandal has undoubtedly shaped the public's perception of her. While Naomi's career as a supermodel remained solid, her image as a philanthropist took a massive hit. The damage wasn't just in Naomi's charity, it affected her personal brand as well. People who once admired her for her work in the community now questioned her judgment and involvement in the charity's operations. Despite her public defense, the fact that such a large-scale mishandling of funds could occur under her name left a mark on her reputation. The fashion industry, which had long embraced her as one of its finest models, now had to reconcile her career achievements with this controversy. Naomi's name became associated not just with high fashion, but with scandal, making it harder for her to separate her past mistakes from her identity. So, what's next for Naomi Campbell? Can she turn this setback into an even greater comeback? One thing's for sure, Naomi is a fighter. Her ability to bounce back from personal and professional challenges has been proven time and time again. The question, though, is how she will reclaim her legacy after this scandal. The fashion world has a tendency to forgive, especially when it comes to legends like Naomi, but public trust is hard to rebuild once it's been broken. Naomi's focus on transparency and her future philanthropic efforts could be the key to restoring that trust. She has shown in the past that she is genuinely dedicated to helping others, and if she continues to be open and honest about how she plans to move forward, the public may be willing to forgive and support her. So, what are your thoughts on this? Please let us know in the comments below.